Okay, the smart about slopes is due today, so I'm just gonna kind of recap some things that we did yesterday. You might want to use your notes that we did in class, your types of slopes and your calculating slope, the three ways we looked at, which was graph, tables, and points. Let me get that in case you're not too sure what I'm referring to. Okay, here's the example of the notes I was talking about. These are the notes from yesterday. We did types of slopes, okay, and then so I memorized that acronym, and then we talked about ways to calculate the slope. So you have to know how to calculate out the graph, out the table, and when given 2 points. And so that is what this worksheet is going to assess or kind of make sure that you're applying with those methods and that you're doing correctly. So we kind of started on these for some classes. I'm not too sure, but because they want you to calculate the slope and all of these 1 through 6 are a graph, you have to remember to mark your 2 points. Okay, that can vary. You just need to make sure they're exact points. And what I mean by exact point, for it to be an exact point, let me see. See how we have these lines and they cross? The point has to be at that intersection of those two lines. So like I can read this point as 3 comma 4. Okay. But the point needs to be on the line. And our line that we're referring to is this bold line that they gave you that's already on the graph. Okay. So we want to first, let me get rid of this part right here. We want to mark the points. We want to find the slope using our rise over run. Okay. And then always simplify after you do that. So when I check this, I'm checking that we have, let me come down a little bit, that I will see 2 points marked on your graph, and I know they can vary, but we need to see exact points here. Okay, we can have a point there, we can have a point there. So like on number 3, I see this point 1, 0, and I also see this point here, excuse me, which is -1 and +1. Those are the order pairs to describe where they are. So your point doesn't have to be exactly where mine is. It could, as long as it's an exact point on the graph. So then from there, we need to calculate the rise over run. This rise from this point, and I'm going to go ahead and label them as A and B. I'm going up, so I have a rise of 1. Okay, and then I need to calculate my run. So I kind of want to make these triangles on the graph. I should see those, or I should see what you did when you calculate that. And we have a run. I don't know if you can see that. That's 2 units. A run to the right, 2 units. So if you're doing this on your own paper, at least kind of show the direction that you counted so I can calculate your slope. So here, this slope, well, it's just going to be 1/2. Our slope for number 3 should just be 1/2. And it's positive because it's increasing from left to right. So don't forget, you know, with the direction the graph is moving, or the steepness kind of helps you as well. So for example, on 4, remember first I need to see exact points. So hopefully you see there's an exact point right here at 3, 1. And I see another exact point. I could use maybe 2, 4. Or maybe someone use this point over here. Oh, it's kind of hard to show if that's exact. I think this one is exact. So 4, -2. And then we're going to count the rise. So 1, 2, 3. So rise of 3 here. But then my run is to the left. So that's going to be -1. I don't know if I can see that -1. So when I calculate my slope, If you're doing it on your paper, make sure you indicate that your rise was 3 and your run, which went to the left, that made that a -1. So this actually gets simplified to just a -3. If I have 3 over -1, that's a whole number. And hopefully you could see that that slope was negative just by seeing that the slope is decreasing. Okay, the slope is decreasing. It's going to be a negative. If it's increasing, it's going to be positive. So I want to make sure that you can definitely get these exact points. Okay, and that you can count your rise over run. You can simplify it when it needs to be simplified. Because depending on what your points are, some of you might have a larger slope or ratio of the slope than others. It's fine. So like I could have done a point here and a point way over here. Okay. Some of you might have picked a point closer. That's fine. All right. So that takes care of that section. Now here, it says on here, your answers are going to vary. Surprised this showed up. Yeah. So if you ever see this on the paper, it just means that everyone it could explain it correctly, but maybe it's not going to just be one way to explain it. So I do want to see your process and your thinking, and you do have quite a few that are like that today. Now, when we get to 8 through 11, we should be looking for the change in y compared to our change in x. So this is when we look to see how the numbers are changing. So I went from 4 to 6, so that's a +2. Again, it's +2. Each time it's changing +2. Now, if I look at my change in my x's, it went to 0 to -1, so that's -1. I don't know if y'all can see that. Let me move this if it lets me. There we go. Nah, I got more room. So we here 0 to -1, that's -1. -1 to -2, again another -1, and a -1. So we're doing the change in the y values, which was all this +2. So when I get to my slope, my m, remember m is the symbol for slope, I'm going to have +2 on the top because that was the change in the y. That looks like a +2. So let's fix that, +2. There we go. And we're going to have on the bottom of our ratio the change in the x's, which this was -1. And then some of you can already jump to it. You see, okay, well, if I reduce that ratio, my answer is just a -2. Okay, so don't forget, you might need to use a calculator here, especially if you're not strong. I would always just do it just to check your subtraction of integers, your adding of integers. You can use the calculator. I believe it's part of the accessories here. I don't see where it's at on mine. Or I think on Google. Well, we'll talk about there's a calculator in your decimals. We'll have to talk about that too. So if it went from 15 to 0, that should be -15. Then 0 to -15, that's again -15. And -15. And then here I'm hoping you see that all of these were decreasing by 1. All right. So I kind of got you started. Let's let you finish. And that's kind of like going over 8 through 11 here. And then again on 12, they want to know what would be a common mistake of finding the slope on a table. You put it in your ways. What do you think a type of mistake or how difficult these might be for you? And these can vary, your answers here. So then you got the back. On the back, they want you to, I don't know if it's coming. I guess it's not showing. They want you to calculate each slope given 2 points. So when we do that, it's missing. It didn't show up, by the way. There it is. We should be using the slope formula. Okay, should be using the slope formula. Now, to use it, I just think it's easy to label. Easy, it makes it how much a lot easier. Excuse me, so much easier if you label each part. So your x1. So like when you have coordinates, it's an x and a y. But if that's the first coordinate, that'd be x1, y1. So if this was the second coordinate, this would be x2, and this would be y2. So if I'm labeling here, my 5 would be my x1, my 4 would be my y1, my 6 would be my x2, my 1 would be my y2. Now, if you want to, some people kind of just go straight to color coding, highlighting. So all my x's are the same color, and all my y's, my y1s, my y2s, my y's are the same color. So that lets me know when I use my formula, because you're going to have to use the formula m equals the changes in the y, or the difference between the y, so y2 minus y1, and x2 minus x1. So right off the bat, I know my blue points, or my blue coordinates, are on top, and my yellow coordinates are on bottom. Order does matter, okay? So make sure you put it in the correct order. You can't switch. You can't go y2 to y1 and then I'm gonna go x1 to x2. If I go first to second, then I have to do first and second for the same point. And I'll show you how it will get the same answer. But let's just get into this calculation. So now we're just gonna go straight to the substitution here. Ooh, sorry about that equal sign. Let's make that a little bit better. So when I go into my substitution, this font is not great. On the top would be 1 minus 4. Okay. And then on the bottom would be 6 minus 5. So this is what I'm saying. Calculator is your friend. So make sure you don't make any integer errors. 1 minus 4 gives you a negative 3. All right. And then 6 minus 5 gives us 1. So I know that this gets simplified to just, I'm going to write it over here, m equals negative 3. Okay. Hope you can see that. So you can have whole number answers that you simplify it, or you can have fraction as well. So again, this is what I'm talking about, order matters. So like here's my x's, I know. Oops. Here is the y's. So when I go to calculate it, let's say I wanted to put the x's on top and I just went 9 minus 4. That's fine. Okay, let's say you forgot to flip it and do y2 minus y1. That's fine. Because watch, you're going to get the same answer. So if I do 9 minus 4, if I go in this direction, left to right, I have to do the same thing for my x's, 2 minus 0. So when I do that, this comes out to be 9 minus 4 is 5 on top, and that is 2 on the bottom. Now, let's say I did it following the formula. Okay, watch. If I follow the formula, it should be y2, because we're talking about differences. So 4 minus 9 and 0 minus 2. Well, 4 minus 9 gives me negative 5. 0 minus 2, negative 2. And then whenever you have a negative over a negative, or negative divided by a negative, again, we get to that same answer. 5 over 2. 5 divided by 2. That's our solution. So I am really going to be stressing that I see the work to set up, okay, that we get to the simplified answer. So you do need to show work here. We cannot just type things in calculators and not show how it's set up, how you set up the formula, especially. So I need to see the substitution. That would be marked wrong if we don't see that. I know there's work here. So you are using that slope formula for 13 through 18. And then when you get here, your answers are going to vary. And they're going to vary basically from this problem on. So I would strongly look at your notes because it's kind of asking you to compare student responses. What's the difference between a positive and a negative slope, or zero and undefined? Who's correct? So use your notes, and the answers can vary. All right, so when we are done here, hold on just a second. Okay, so after you're done with the worksheet, you need to go to Khan Academy. Go ahead and Google it. Just click right here. If you saved your password to your search engine, it's there. And so just to kind of recap, your assignments are over here on the left side. Oh, I should have my pointer highlighted. I apologize for that. And so I'm in the test student account. So let's look at Algebra 1. So you need to click on your assignments. And sometimes if you don't see something, you might see this blue dot next to your name that gives you a notification that tells you something has happened in your class. And so if you click on your notifications, there's a new assignment that was given. There they are. So those are green. And then there's some old assignments that need to be worked here as a test student here. So I just want to you should see two items here. Slopes in a table. It's due tomorrow. And then your slopes and a point. And I'm going to use this as just like an exit ticket. Khan Academy activities and your Desmos, our online interactive stuff, will be a grade. And I'm going to double check that this week. Make sure that your account is created with your student email and your CNCS password. Some of you, I don't see you in the class. I know, because just based on numbers, they're not where they need to be. So maybe when you Google, you're not, you didn't log in. It's asking for a class code or something like that. If you hit this Khan Academy, it should take you back to the home page. Let's see if it's going to do it for me, or at least to your courses. It's because I'm logged in, you're not going to be able to see that, but let's see if I was to log out. Let's log out. I'll do that in a second. Let's get back to our assignments here. So, and I'll do that at the end. So you hit the start button. You're going to have 4 questions. You're going to go and says, what is the slope of the line containing these points? So your table is just a little different here, but you still need to be looking at your change in y and your change of x. But let's say this problem was like, oh, this does not look like anything we've done in class. You can watch a video or you can use a hint, okay? Now, if you're stuck, you can watch a video right here that talks about calculating the slope. And then you just kind of hit play and you can watch that video. Now, let's say you want to get a hint, okay? Just a second. Okay, sorry about that. So back to what I was saying. So if you use this hint for the problem, it will count towards your progress, count towards your grade. So try to rework it. So I would try to use your videos first to see if it helped you work it out. But if you get the hint, so just so you get an option one more time, keep on thinking or use the hint. If you use the hint, it will show you how to work it out. Okay, but now that question is counted against you because it's actually going to work it out for you and actually show you the answer. So so get another hint. Like if they'll give you one little hint to see if you can work it out, and if you need another hint, there's like kind of showing you the change in x's and the change in y. Okay, so they're going to try to give you steps, but it will count against your total score. And so I just kind of want to just remind you of that. So you have 2 of these, and once you kind of turn in the worksheet and do your Khan Academy assignments, you're done for the day. All right, thanks guys. Oh, don't forget to do this one. Yeah. Oh, and the last thing I was talking about, I was trying to, let's see if it let me. There it goes. Okay, so I can log out. All right, yeah. So when you Like maybe when you first Google Khan Academy, this page comes up where it allows you to log in. And so you need to log in as a student. Okay, so you put in your, oh, that's not the one we want to do. But you put your student email in there. If it does not work, you shouldn't have forgot your password. Then you probably need to create an account. And if you create an account, then odds are you probably do need the class code, but it's on Teams. Okay, it's on Teams if you need it. Um, it was part of an assignment we did. I think it was like the second. I will double check. So, or just message me and I'll give it to you. All right, that really takes care of it now. All right, thanks guys.